President Akufo-Addo's State of the Nation address began with the required salutations to the parliamentary leaders and other government officials who will soon be receiving ex gratia payments when his administration ends. The president then praised the achievements of women on International Women's Day. The 2023 theme of International Women's Day was a celebration of women championing the advancement of transformative technology and digital education. Well-spoken words with no history of trying to fulfill the goals. Technology and digital education have not been advanced during Akufo-Addo's time in office for anyone, women or men. As the humanity enters the age of artificial intelligence and space travel, the students of Ghana, female and male, attend antiquated schools that are not equipped with the technology needed to compete on a world stage in 2023. Technology is a driving force in healthcare, science, agriculture, manufacturing, energy production, sustainable living, and every facet of life in 2023. In Ghana, our women are washing clothes with rocks at the rivers that are filled with pollution from illegal mining that continues with a wink and a nod from government officials. He then goes on to praise the efforts of parliaments in representing the will of the people, even with a leadership that is split between the two parties. Mr. President, we have studied the games of the political parties and are not surprised that they can work together in Parliament. However, your praise is misplaced. The parliamentary agenda works for the cohesion and benefit of each other, not for the Ghanaian people. President Akufo-Addo goes on to praise the democratic progress that Ghana has made since independence and the obstacles that it has overcome. The president did not mention that providing a mechanism by which our citizens in the diaspora can vote has still not been accomplished. President Akufo-Addo, the people and I hereby officially and publicly challenge you today to make a commitment to put in place the mechanism for the representation of the People's Amendment Act to become a reality within the next 3 months. In your March 8th, 2023 State of the Nation speech, you recognize the importance of democracy. Mr. President, the foundation of democracy is a right to vote. According to you, the two parties are working well in a split parliament. It should be an easy task to finally put in place a mechanism for the diaspora to vote, as guaranteed by the current constitution and affirmed by ROPA and concurred by the High Court. The people of the diaspora send about $6 billion home annually, yet still cannot vote. They demand the right to vote in 2024 presidential election. We demand that instead of paying lip service to democracy and your respect for it, you instruct the EC and Parliament to not talk about it, but enact a viable mechanism for voting by June 30th, 2023. This will go a long way in proving that what you say is what you believe. The diplomatic service of Ghana estimates that 7.6% of Ghanaian citizens live in the diaspora. They have a right to vote. The women of Ghanaian diaspora are immersed in technology around the world. They left home for a chance to be a full participants in the modern age of advanced technologies. They cannot vote, yet they still send taxes to support the homeland and remittances to support family and friends. Ghana must support them and thank them by providing them with the right to vote now. President Akufo-Addo continued his State of the Nation address by praising the strides that Ghana has made over the last 30 years. He talks about the growth of freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, freedom of religion, and freedom of political affiliation. On the surface, all true. Peel away the first layer of assembly that is met with the brute force of police state tactics, with protesters injured and killed. We find noted celebrity fixed the country protesters arrested, jailed, and their careers and families intimidated and threatened. Peel away another layer, and we find university professors and academics who will not speak out because their salaries are paid by the ruling parties. Peel away another layer, and we find a money pit of corruption and payoffs disguised as a new national cathedral for one religion in a nation where many religions are practiced by the citizens. Peel away another layer, and we find a press that fails to investigate illegal mining ties between foreign governments and corporations and past and present Ghanaian government officials. Peel away another layer, and we find corruption that has borrowed its way to the highest political government and industrial executive suite officials. Peel away another layer, and we find a government that pours money into projects like affordable housing projects and hospitals where the funding is spent, yet the projects never completed. President Akufo-Addo goes on with his almost 2-hour State of the Nation address praising his administration for his economic accomplishments. He states that he will dedicate his time and energy to righting the wrong of runaway inflation, debt service, and growth. He cites that the managing director of the IMF agrees with his assessment that the Ghana economy was in good shape until COVID-19 and the war on Ukraine took Ghana off course. This might be a reasonable statement until more layers are peeled away. Ghana received billions of dollars in COVID aid from the IMF, World Bank, the United States, the EU, and other nations. Was that aid wisely spent on the people of Ghana, healthcare facilities, clean water, and sanitary sewage projects? It was claimed that people were fed daily by the government with COVID aid monies from foreign countries. Raise your hand if you received daily meals from the government during COVID, or clean water, or even soap. Do you, my sisters and brothers, know anyone who did? When President Akufo-Addo asked in his speech, how far should we look back to discover the source of the failing economy? The answer is under yet another layer. The government officials, president, vice president, and over 100 ministers, MPs, and industrial executives of government-owned enterprises all receive monthly salaries that are 8 to 22 times the annual salaries of the average hard-working citizen. The currency that fills the treasury of Ghana are deposited by the blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifices of the women, men, and children of this nation. That money is withdrawn at will by those who use the treasury as their checking accounts. Where does that money go? Beyond their salaries that are annually are hundreds of times the average citizen's salary. The money goes to buy them new cars, pay for their housing, utilities, household help, food, security, clothing, entertainment, and then a lifetime of ex gratia payments. When the head of the IMF agrees with President Akufo-Addo on the state of the nation, he does not peel back the layer that will show how the ruling parties bleed the economy dry. Over the last 30 years that President Akufo-Addo wants to look at the compensation of government officials, the size of government has grown disproportionately to the growth of the economy. Don't be fooled by an IMF director who agrees with President Akufo-Addo. He does not see the whole picture. Just weeks ago, international independent election observers from the EU, the United States, and NGOs observed the Nigerian elections from assigned locations. They then declared that the Nigerian elections were fair. What is your opinion? Perception is always based on the observational vantage point. Our perception as citizens of Ghana is not the same as the IMF director who flies in a private jet to meet with the higher echelons of the government, finance, and industry in their mansions. It is also not the same as President Akufo-Addo, who is fed every day, drinks bottles of wine that cost more than most citizens make in a month, lives and travels in luxury, and taps the treasury when he wants a new car. The reality of the average Ghanaian is that they suffer. Affordable housing with running water and sanitary sewage in safe neighborhoods with paved roads, schools, and hospitals are only dreams for Ghanaians. There are people who want to invest in Ghana and create these neighborhoods in public-private partnerships, but they fear the corruption of the ruling parties. President Akufo-Addo's March 8, 2023 State of the Nation address dragged on and on for over 23 pages. He cited what he considered accomplishments of his term in office and the NPP. His claims include better roads. I see potholes on these roads. He claimed new schools. I see schools without books and desks. More courts. I see only 60 of the 120 completed. And on and on. The bottom line is that projects that are funded and begun are often boondoggles to hide treasury money for graft, corruption, and bribes, like the Ghost Hospital System, the Saglame Housing Project, the National Cathedral, and so many more. If any of it was a reality for you, the Ghanaian citizen, raise your hand. If not, stand up and together let's continue to peel back the layers. Together, we can fix the economic crisis of Ghana by creating a new government of Ghana. My name is Kofi Kuranting. I am your independent choice for president on the 2024 ballot, and my message is clear, concise, viable, and ready to take our nation into the future to create a new Ghana government. Let's begin peeling back the layers by demanding that the diaspora be given the tools to vote by June 2023 so that they can cast their rightful ballots in the December 2024 presidential elections. I'm calling for the elimination of ex gratia immediately. That alone will save enough annual tax money to build schools or roads or real hospitals for real patients. I am calling for the elimination of all but 10 ministers. This will result in a massive savings of salaries from the over 90 ministers and their staffs. I am calling for investigations and forensic audits of all government projects and government-owned industries and appointments over the last 20 years. We have the skilled citizens and resources to be an economic powerhouse in Africa if a government of corruption would stop bleeding our resources. I am calling out and reaching out to concerned, successful Ghanaians who are ready and able to invest in Ghana. I want to ensure that their ideas and projects will be untouched by the hands of government corruption. At the first session of Parliament as President, I will present a detailed, progressive, fair tax structure. I am calling for the right of those in the diaspora to bring their assets home tax-free. Together, we can build a new government based on the ideas of citizens at home and abroad. Let us start looking forward and begin anew. The purpose of the government of Ghana should and will be to serve the people, not use them. Just as Ghana was a model to break the chains of colonialism, we will be a model for all African nations to break free from despots and government corruption. Let us join hands and proclaim, God bless our homeland Ghana.